Training ground. You asked for it, you get it. Ryu and I will rip your photos into smithereens. Hold on to your headphones. Here comes the pain.
And yeah, it's a very long one because we've kind of not been around for 2 months. Not by choice. That's by choice, actually. No, we kind of need a bit of a break. Um, but we're back, and we're most likely better than ever. And we will start to look at those photos and talk about it because that's just what we do. So, Matt Cohen, I don't think we should really talk about this one. I don't know why this one's here particularly. Like
Yeah,
anything?
I no, I don't necessarily see why it's in black and white, and if you're going to go through the trouble to make it black and white, then I would like to see the water be whiter because it's whitewater kayaking or rafting or whatever the guy's doing.
It's like
So,
groundwater kayaking is what it is. It's like a lot of sediments, or no?
well,
I've heard that one.
yeah, you can definitely see that there's rocks and stuff coming up, but I would like to see the rest of the water be the same color as the water that's right around him. And then if that
I see
water
what you
has to
mean.
be lighter, then that's fine. But the general effect of this is that it's underexposed. And
And it,
if you're gonna do black and white, then you really need to bring out all the details, and the details are being lost. All of that said, it's still a nice picture. I just would have left it in color, or I would have spent a lot more time making sure that I was maximizing the work that I was doing to put it in a black and white.
and I just kind of think it's a very standard picture. It's nothing really special. But I also think at the same time, it's not something that we would be on training ground because there's no massive fault in any of this picture.
Yeah.
So, by the way, if you're listening to this, I would really hope that I'm happy that everyone's tagged their photos for training ground, but not a lot of you have actually changed your privacy settings. So please, please, please change it for next time because otherwise it's a lot of work for us to get all the pictures. And this is what's going to happen today. As you will see, I will go to.
And it's not just for us either. Like if you if you have a little kid or whatever and you take a lot of pictures of a little kid, I can understand why you would want your pictures to be private, but make those pictures private. Don't make all of them because if you're trying to get out there, people do look at Flickr. People who are looking to buy pictures for ads, for media or whatever, I can't even tell you back when I used to use Flickr how many things I sold just because it was up on Flickr. And if you have it marked private, people aren't going to see them. And, I'm not going to say what's the point because the point is trying to make great pictures. But if people aren't seeing them, then I don't know. It's not going to help you. It's not going
Yeah,
to. It's
you
not
won't
going to
see
get
it.
you clients. It's not going to get you noticed. I'm sure that there's a way to make certain pictures private and certain pictures public. So default it to public, and then if you want to just make your family pictures private, then just do that. But I don't know.
Yeah,
There's really no reason to have all your stuff private at all.
you really don't. Um, it's by Simon West. This is London Welsh versus Bristol. It's a rugby picture, and it's yeah, it's a bit shit.
Yeah, this is a good example of there could actually be an interesting play going on, and you can make a boring picture of it, and that's what's going on here because you're just not in the right place for it. You have the backs of the two guys who are doing
That's in
something, and then
focus.
everybody else is obscured by the guys who are coming at you. And you just need to learn how to edit better. Like, there's nothing wrong with taking a picture like this, but you have to be looking at this on your computer, and you really have to realize right away that this is a throwaway because you just didn't get it.
Yeah, there's nothing to it. I don't understand what you saw in this entire picture. No, it's a really horrible picture, by all means, Simon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, this is not. No. Takes a long time. Huh? I guess we're on, yeah, on Google Hangout. That's probably why it's taking a long. Hmm. Well, Mikhail Bormin's out. with some of the admin stuff over here at Big Lens Fast Shutter. It's okay. The thing is, like, because I'm gonna be a bit picky with him because I think he's gone up to a certain level that it's not a matter of like, okay, it's shit or it's not shit. Like, it's okay, but I wouldn't really consider to, I don't know, keep this as I need to keep or anything, because I just kind of think I don't really know like what I'm supposed to be looking at really. He's chasing after the ball and that's it. And had like a goalkeeper was in front of him or something, it would be interesting. But like I always say, there has to be something, like a couple of things interesting in an image for me to say, consider really to be okay. Well, you should keep that photo. But for this one, I don't really see anything interesting. If people were like vehemently complaining at him, or because they're calling for offsides or handball or whatnot, I'd
Yeah.
probably say yes, it's interesting. But just this in itself, I
Yeah.
just don't really see
They're
anything really interesting,
yeah,
you know?
they're half-assed complaining. The guy with the ball isn't doing anything interesting other than coming right at you, which would make me say, what happened after this? Either there was a foul and they stopped, or this guy continued carrying the ball directly at you. And the closer he would get, the better the picture would be. So those guys aren't doing anything interesting enough. The guy with the ball isn't doing anything interesting enough. And it just ends up being like, 3/4 of the way towards being a picture, but without being a picture.
Yeah, so it's a no-no. Okay, it's car porn. So I think there has to be a bit of a distinction made between car porn or any sort of porn and actual sports photography. Chris Gouge from Parts Unknown.
Yeah, I think
I
we've
like
been.
it, kind of,
No, it's
sort of.
nice. Yeah, no, I mean, it's all right for what
Hmm.
it is, and I could see this being used. Probably not in an ad for Bentley or whatever, but I could see this being used somewhere. Um, the thing is, we take a pretty wide definition of what consider to be sports photography, but this is a picture of a car. Like it's not really a whole lot different than the picture of a frozen car on a track, which we see a lot, but it's not competing. There's nobody in it. It's not in the pit. It's not being worked on. It's not doing anything car-like. So, I wrote a post about this a little while ago. Who who did the work to get you the picture? Like, yeah, you lit it, but somebody painted that number on there, and somebody designed the car, and somebody branded the. Is this a Bentley? Is that the Bentley logo?
I think so.
Whatever it is. That's their car, and all you did was take a picture of their car sitting still. Again, it's nice lighting, but it's just not a sports picture. And the idea is get somebody working on this, or get a driver in it, like getting ready to race or something like that. But you need to make this into a sports picture, and just because it's a sports car doesn't mean it's a sports picture.
No.
And that's not to take away from it, because
No.
there's plenty of uses for cars, but it's not. That's not a sports
Yeah,
picture.
there has to be something that's going on that is not something you can just go to a showroom and take a picture of it. You know what I mean? That's not what you
Yeah.
really want. And I can understand because 99% of racing it is about the car. I mean, that's the most important thing. It's the most interesting, out there. And I know you want to concentrate your, attention to the cars, but sometimes it doesn't really work like that. Um, Mike Groom, he keeps on doing, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Um, I okay. First of all, I don't like this angle. I don't really find the car is probably quite interesting. It's blocked off by the barrier in front. The dandelions and whatnot and the background is interesting. I am sure there was a place that you can only see the yellow and not just crap at the left, upper left. And is it the sensor dirty or is it my screen? It's my screen that's dirty. Okay, it's not the sensor. You have to really be careful with if you're doing the panning thing that you pick a place where you're gonna have a very nice background. So not to just because my eyes went immediately to that crap on the upper left side, and that's not very, very
It's
good,
more,
you
yeah,
know?
it's more prominent because of the background than the actual car is.
I think it's probably might be in the foreground. I don't know where it was, but it's definitely like really close, you know?
No, I'm saying that because it's dark and it's on a white
Yeah, yeah,
background, it's
yeah,
more
yeah.
prominent than the car is, because the car gets swallowed up a little bit by the barrier and by the dark green in the background. So,
But it's really a
I
shame
don't,
because it's such a nice background in the back, you know, that I'm sure there's a place you can get this exact same shot without the distraction and just get the yellow. It'd be really beautiful to be able to do it that way.
yeah. I mean, this is like I would think that this is kind of a basic thing, but when you're going to a track, especially like a road course, because ovals don't really have the same um, opportunities. You're basically going to be shooting against the same backdrops, but there are quirks in some of them. But walk the track and make notes. When I shoot racing at the couple of tracks that I shoot at, they give you a map that has places where you can shoot, places where you absolutely can't shoot. Um, some of them will have like this is where the light will be at the beginning of the race, and this is where the light will be at the end of the race. Make notes on that and say, okay, well, here there's a nice clean background, and I'm going to shoot here, and um, plan out your day. Like, this is where the light might be to take advantage of that, and this is, I want to be near the finish line towards the end. I want to have access to the pits and the paddock. Um, it can't be random. Like, you can't just show up there and start shooting, because you get stuff like this where it looks like you really didn't consider anything that was going on. Like, I get that you were trying to use whatever was in the foreground as like an artistic element, but it just looks like it was thrown together. And then you have that roof. I'm assuming that's a roof in the top left. So you just need to have more thought. Like, I don't want to discourage you, because you are definitely trying new things aggressively, and I like that. But don't try them just to try them. You have to try them because you see something that you can take advantage of. And here I see lots of things that are taking advantage of you. So you got to flip that around, and like Ryu was saying, try to use those flowers um, in the background as something that's helping you. Where here it's just like, oh wow, it'd be really cool if there was just a big stripe of yellow in the background, but you just have all these distracting things that are in the foreground. Doesn't work.
No. Nope. So this is the one that Matt and I agreed on. Matt likes this for whatever reason is, but I don't. So I'm gonna go first because I say it is a reflection. I have no idea what reflection it is. I think it's probably, I'm guessing, is a body of a car, and it's reflecting that or something, because it's not a mirror, because it's kind of like, got a bit of a, shape to it. Now I like the fact that there is a reflection. Don't get me wrong, I really, really do. I think that's really interesting. That's fine. I like that. It's rain on it. That's good. But I don't see the car. There is something that looks like a car, but I really, for the love of me, cannot say, well, that is a car. It just looks like a blob. And if you ask people, you say, okay, do you think that's a car? And say, well, there's a tire kind of there, and there's a kind of another tire there, and that looks like a car. It doesn't look car enough for me. And if you take that out, it then all of a sudden it's very difficult to like say, okay, what is this? Is this supposed to be like a golf course? Is it supposed to be like a park? Is it supposed to be like a really weird painting, a bit of a psychedelic thing going on? I don't know. And that's the reason why I actually had this come over here and saying, I thought that if you're gonna do something like this, one thing has to be clear. The one thing absolutely needs to be clear is that I need to know this is a circuit. I need to know there's some competition going on. I need to know that it's a car. And I didn't see that over here, and therefore I actually had Mike put this over here. So
Yeah, I
that's
just
the only way.
absolutely disagree. Um, so the track, I think, is pretty clear there. Like, if you have grass as most of the picture, and then you have what looks like asphalt in a line, and you have those I don't know. It's like the molding around the track where the alternating color to indicate the turn. That's a track to me. The fact that the car is less defined than it is in a frozen action kind of picture is a bonus to me, not a negative at all. I like the originality. This is exactly what we're talking about. Turn away from the track and see if you can use anything that's going on, and he's definitely done that. The only thing that I would say, and this is from a purely like a, I don't know if artistic is the right word, but just from a arranging things in the frame kind of standpoint, I don't like the car being where the other elements are. So you have what looks like the track official in white, and then a spectator in gray and black. I would have liked him to have waited just a little bit till the car got down closer to the lower left-hand corner, just to arrange things in the frame in a,
Mm,
I don't know, like a
but you can see,
more.
like, on the right here, I think those are other cars. I really want to see, like, had he actually spent, like, I don't know, 30 minutes at this exact spot, because
Oh,
you can
I,
see the
I
car
agree.
zooming
Yeah,
by, right?
you're not going to get it right on the first picture. Like, I don't know how much time he spent doing this, but if I was trying to do something like this, I would be spending a ton of time
Yeah,
trying
because
to
what I mean, you found a
perfect.
really good place to do it, right? I
Yeah,
mean, like, why wouldn't you spend the entire day over there just trying to get it right? I mean, you get that one picture that no one else is gonna have.
yeah. Well, that's
And if
absolutely
I'm,
true.
yeah.
I would have liked to have seen that yellow car further down the track into the lower left. That's the only thing that I would say to this. I think it's a good effort, and I like it as a picture. I really do.
Hello?
I'm here.
Hello? Okay, so I just lost you.
No.
I just lost you. Yeah, I know. I really do like the effort. I do, but I need execution here, Mike. I keep on saying that. We keep on saying that. I just really want you to execute it properly, and I think if you had, I wanted to really see, like Matt said, like if the car is here or here or here, would it maybe look more like a car? That's what I would like to know as well. If it was here, because over there it probably isn't, because that looks like the rest of the cars, and I want to know, like, if you had more opportunities to do this, why didn't you do it? If it's just like you spent 2 minutes on this, it looks like you spent 2 minutes on it. That's what I feel like I see over here, and it's really, to me, a opportunity loss. So I don't know. Maybe he uploaded other stuff that's on this. I don't know. Well, we can check later on. But that's gets so hot here. AMR photo. I think the guy from Frono's photo. Frono's photo. I want to punch him in the
Mm.
face. Um, Howard. No. So what it's supposed to be, what? Dust. I don't really care what it is, Reed. It's a shit photo. First of all, this cut here, right there, feet, never good. Um, we've talked about this a lot, and you need to know balance of where you can cut and where you can not cut. And you can't cut it there. You just can't do it. If you cut it here at the waist, good. Here, like maybe around here, maybe. But here, it's a no-no. And there's no excuse for you actually cutting him, because either A, you decided to shoot it in this format. You could done it vertically, or you could just, crop a little bit more. Crop a little bit more, I mean, like with your camera, you could just, like, lifted your lens a little bit towards the upward direction, and could have gotten rid of, the legs altogether. But the fundamental problem with this is that it's not really interesting. Like, what the hell is he supposed to be doing? Like, I don't get
Yeah,
it. Like,
I think that he's thinking that the dust
dust.
is more interesting than it is.
It's just shit.
So if you subtract the dust, then you just have
A shit photo.
a clear version of this. But there's not really. This doesn't say dust to me. This says flare.
Overexposed.
Like if you were shooting into the sun or something like that at a weird angle. Yes, overexposed, like desaturated or something like that. Like you could get all of these effects without there actually being dust. Dust is like well, dust is made up of dirt, and that's what you want to see. Like, where did the dust come from? Was the wind blowing it? Was there a slide somewhere that kicked it up? That's going to be more interesting than just a general haze in the air. So that is not enough to save what's otherwise nothing. I mean, it's just you can't tell if the kid's tired, if he's upset, if he's just blinking. Like, you no idea because he's not giving you enough other cues. So we're back to I'm just going by what the caption is, and I'm guessing that he's thinking the dust is doing more work for him than it is.
No, it's not. It's crap. As we go from one crap to that's not that bad. I'm fine with this, except for the fact that the lady there
Yeah, he got
is in
screwed.
focus as
That's,
much as the rest of the kids.
yeah.
Good God, come on. You
Is she the
know,
umpire?
I
She's the
understand
umpire.
it's sunny. Oh, it's even.
She's
What
the
does it matter who
umpire.
it is?
No, it is. Look at her. That's an umpire's hat.
It doesn't really matter. I mean, she can't be in focus this much, you know?
Well, if she looked like an umpire, it would be better. It's just because she looks like a random that it's
Yeah, she
it's
looks
screwing him
like
more.
yeah, she just like, had a little bit of amnesia and just like wandered onto the field or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
You can't do this. It
No.
ruins everything, it really,
Yeah.
really does. And if like we keep on saying like if the background adds to the entire story that you want to tell, I'm fine with that, but it doesn't at all. And it really ruins the entire photo because my eyes would go directly to the kid, and then right after that goes directly to that lady,
Yeah.
Mrs. Doubtfire or whatever her name is called, and that's it. And it's like it's a black lady with a green dress in the background, it's a white dude with a orange hat. I mean, come on,
Yeah.
you can't do this.
Yeah, none of that's
And
helping. And so this is not to take away from it because it is a nice moment and he was there to catch it, but you're just too far away. I don't know if you were shooting from the outfield fence with a long lens or something, but um, you're asking for it. Like, so we can say you got screwed by the lady or whatever, but there are things that you can do to minimize that. And one of those is the closer you are to your subjects, the less is going to be in focus in the background. So if you're shooting from, I don't know, how far away,
let's
I don't
see.
even know how big a Little League park is, but it's more than 50 yards. And anytime you're shooting from that far, you just lose all control of what's going on in the background. And if you were at the fence or if you were along one of the baselines or something like that, you would have had the flexibility to either crop her out, compose her out, or blur her out. And because you were shooting from what looks like the outfield fence, I'm guessing you had no control over that. You had no control over the two people that are standing behind the fence. And so next time, get closer. You can shoot through the fence. I've done it. At
It's like
professional baseball games, you shoot through a fence all the time.
it's first base side, isn't it? This side, right?
No, I'm thinking that he is in
Yeah, he is
left
because the
center
fact
field.
he's looking that way. He's that far? No, can't be. Oh, yeah, it has to be, because otherwise he would be way too close. Well, it's difficult because I'm just thinking like if you could have changed angles on this, and I guess you could have just shooting towards no like having your lens aiming towards third base, the guys will be running in, you could have that. And I think that type of thing, if you think the kid's gonna have a chance to have an inside the park home run, as you said over here, if you're allowed to move, you just fucking move, just use your legs, just move. And especially in a game like baseball where how people are going to be moving in most cases, it's very easy to predict what you could do and what you can. I mean, it's easy to predict what's going to happen. If it's going to happen, you can get the position that you want to shoot in. I'm sure it's not it's not very possible in MLB, but at this level, I think you can just go and just move to a better position and think, okay, what is the kid going to do after he gets the home run? are all his teammates going to come out of the dugout? Then maybe I'll wait at the dugout and I should just like, anticipate all the kids to come out of the dugout and congratulate him. Or maybe he's going to be very excited going through home base. Something. And then at this, as far as you can see, because I just saw the info on this one, it's 200 millimeters at f4.5. So as Matt said, you can't probably get rid of the old lady, the old umpire, and the lady in the green, the dude in the orange hat. Then you kind of have to like start thinking like, what can I do to minimize the damage of the background? And you have to then be able to move over and switch positions. You know what I mean?
Did that say 200 to 400?
But it's 200 though.
No, no, no. But the
See?
lens he's shooting with is a 200 to 400.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
So
f4.
that's part of the problem is that this Little League baseball on a small field, you should be shooting with the 70 to 200, and you should be in the infield.
Yeah.
That's it. If this is your only long lens, then yeah, shoot from the outfield or something like that. But again, you're part of what we do is figuring out what's the worst thing that can happen and what's the best thing that can happen. And you want to minimize the worst thing and you want to maximize the best thing. What happened here was the best thing that could have happened. This kid is actually celebrating in a very, very obvious way, in a context that you can easily tell. So there's the kid. I don't know. Is he another? I don't know. Who's this kid?
What kid?
You know what? You're right. This is he is shooting from right field. I
Yeah.
was confused as to where home plate was. So
It's still
that
home
kid
plate.
is like on deck or something like that. The kid on the right.
I
So
think
either
so because he didn't
way,
really, he didn't really
yeah,
run from
yeah.
the dugout
So
to
okay, so
congratulate him.
right. So you have the catcher and you have a kid celebrating. It's a very obvious kind of thing. That's the best case scenario. So if you're thinking about this, so a celebration going on at home plate, then you think about, okay, well, I'm set up in right field, and what's going to be in the foreground? What could block me from getting this shot? In this case, I would imagine the kid in the on deck circle could have blocked you from getting the shot pretty easily. And then what in the background that could screw it up? And spectators and the umpire, who's not dressed like an umpire, could screw it up. So when you're planning when you're going out to shoot something, you have to keep that in mind, that even if you do everything right as far as your timing and your exposure and lens selection and all of that, it's still your responsibility to minimize the risks of things that can screw your picture. And what you've done by shooting from the outfield or pretty far away is, um, you've not minimized those things. You've let those things come in, and um, you have to think about that. So shoot with a shorter lens and get closer, because then you're going to have more control over what you can leave in and what you can blur out.
Yeah, we talked too much about this. J Rash, Jimmy, Central Plains All Star. Well, if I were you, I would have upped the shutter speed more, and then really just use the light to just get his face and part of his arm and part of his body, and that'll be it. Now, saying that, it's not an interesting moment because it just isn't. And if you're really targeting his uniform, because I think uniform is actually quite interesting. I've never seen a uniform like that. That'd be it. But just looking at this and how you could have actually done better, not much unless you have really good light. And I think you did have good light. And I think you tried to expose it too correctly, and you just tried to get everything, and you end up with nothing, in my opinion. So
Yeah,
that's
I'm
it.
not going to be as harsh on it because I think that there are things to learn. People can learn from this. Um, so he's quite obviously manually exposed this picture. and you can tell that because of how dark everything is except for the parts of his skin that are exposed to the sun. This is something that people still do this. If you let your camera decide what the settings are, it's not going to be right all the time. And
Especially in this situation, you know?
yeah, it would be if you let the camera decide this, the background would be too light and his face would be completely overexposed. This is the kind of look that you want. This isn't the most interesting picture. And I think that there should either be no blur, so he should have been shooting at a way faster shutter speed, or there should have been more blur, and as much as you can with still having the face clear. Either one of those two would have been a little bit more interesting, but it's still just a picture pitching, and if you can't figure out how to work the background in or work his form into the picture, then there's nothing wrong with this picture. It's fine if that's what you're doing, but
Yeah, but like,
we've seen Jimmy do very good work,
exactly.
and
This
this
just
is
really feel half-assed, you know?
right. The only thing that he's done here is show us that he can manually expose for skin tones, and that's nice, but that's not
Bravo to
enough.
that, Jimmy. Bravo to that.
Yeah.
No, we need something better for me, really, honestly. No.
When you have light like this, which is rare, like I don't get to shoot in that kind of light very often, you really need to take advantage of it.
So, I actually had no idea that there exists a profession in sports photography where you shoot marathons and they basically sell these photos to individual people.
Yeah, it's just like rodeo photography for most of them.
It it's crazy because I would just say fuck it. I don't want to do it anymore. I really don't want to.
Well,
I
it's
probably just say that.
what happens is it's terrible for creativity because then you get a situation where all you're doing is setting up. It's like a speed trap. You're just setting up lights and pushing a button when people come through,
Yeah,
and this
that's
is
it,
how
right?
you make your living, and you're okay with that. Then that's fine, but that's not what we're doing here.
And this is just terrible. Um, if the light source is adding something to the frame, I'd be happy about it, you know? But like to have the stands in
Yeah, the
there?
stands. Yeah, that's
Come on. I mean, you couldn't like find any other way to do this. Like, you couldn't like get clamps or something. Like, there
well,
has
that's
to
the thing.
be a
Like, if
way to do
these
this that,
that's exactly it.
it's so ugly. So
If these lights are meant
ugly.
to provide like a rim of the silhouette or whatever, to just give it
Yeah.
like a little bit of depth or something like that, there's no reason that they need to be that
It
high.
doesn't even work that way. No.
They
I don't get
this
it.
you
Like, I
just
really
super
don't
clamp them.
understand.
You super clamp them to the rods in the
On the
bridge,
fucking
and then
rails, yeah.
yeah, and then all of a sudden it's just light. It's not, oh, hey, look, I can see a cable and I can see the
It's
sandbags. And
so ugly.
yeah, don't this. I mean, listen, I'm not, again, some people make their living
Yeah, you
by,
are. No, say it.
I'm not, no, because,
Yeah, but it has to be well done, no? It has to
no,
be
no,
well done. And
exactly. You can do
this is
this and
not well
still
done.
you can do this and still make good pictures. And you can do this and still not make obvious mistakes like having very prominent light stands and a cable hanging down. Like that's never going to be good. I don't care what you're doing. You can make good pictures like this, and if you don't care about making good pictures like this, then you can at least figure out a way to get the stands out of there. But what we have here is like, oh hey, look, I have four strobes or something like that. It's I don't understand. They don't need to be there
No,
like
I don't really
that.
understand
And
either. The whole point, no.
yeah.
The whole point for these type of thing is that you don't really know. I mean, like if you can see the light source, it's fine, but you don't like see the rest of the crap that's attached to it, you know? Ugh.
Yeah.
It's so, I'm sorry, it's very amateur to me. It's like not what professional people do. And this is not something, if you guys are listening to this and looking at this, it's not something you should do. Because you have to be, these things should be concealed, so it's minimum that you don't really even see it. And he didn't, Marty. You didn't really do a good job of it. I'm sorry to say it, but it's just crap. And the people in the back, well, people in the back can't do anything about it, but oh god, so angry
Well, you could. The
for all the
thing
right
is,
reasons, obviously.
you could totally do something about the people in back as long as you're strobing it. Then you make the background darker, and
You
let the
can, you
lights do
can.
the work.
You didn't
Yeah.
do it either. God, what the fuck is this? What, Carl Hassel? Come on, really? I don't know. He got 7 faves, so it's probably his work well done though. It's got everything's old fashioned ice cream, everything on it. It's beautiful. Everything stopped mid water, semi kind of blurry thing going on with something blue in the background.
Yeah.
Beautifully done.
So if you're panning, pan.
Oh dear.
If you're not, then up the shutter speed. And then,
It's 125, Matt.
yeah,
You
that's
can't
not
do
panning.
it. Come on.
125 is not panning for anything. I don't care if that car is going 300 miles an hour, that's not slow enough for a panning picture. The other thing is that
Why don't they get it?
this,
Like, why don't you say tenth of a second? Like, that's good enough. Like, just use tenth of a second. Just do it.
yeah,
You know? I
yeah,
don't
go down
understand
that
people
far, and then
sometimes.
if your hands aren't steady enough or you're not good enough at tracking, then put it at a 15th or a 20th, but not
Yeah.
125th. That's not going to do
25.
it. Yeah.
It's so
The other thing is
boring.
that
What do you...
this is a visually interesting sport. Like this is a these you don't see these kind of boats every day. You certainly don't see them racing. Um, this thing is cutting through the water. It's making a big wake. It's blowing when it makes a turn. It's throwing water all over the place. There are sometimes they flip over, go airborne. They catch some air over some waves or something like that. But this makes it look like the least interesting thing that there could possibly be. It doesn't look like it's going really all that fast. It's not doing anything to the water. Like that whole strip of water in the foreground is just useless, as are the trees in the background. So, if you're going to make this kind of picture, it needs to be super tight on it, but even that's going to be boring. You have to wait until it's going around a pylon at an angle or it's actually doing something because otherwise it's just a picture. It's just the same thing as a NASCAR frozen on the track. It's just, there's nothing redeeming about it.
That's just a shame, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
Uncle Dan's Old Fashioned Ice Cream LLC is probably very happy
Carl,
about it.
the best advice I can give you is to go to Mark Rebellis's site. Just search Mark Rebellis. We've had him on the show a few times. He's shot this many times, from when he was a kid up until now, and he has some amazing pictures of it. And go look for them.
We have a lot of like the stuff we posted on Facebook, on our Facebook page as well, that Matt and I had other photographers like motorsports photographers who's done these, high speed stuff, and just have a look at all these things and what they've done and see what you can do for the next time you're gonna go and shoot racing, because this is so fucking boring. It's amazing how boring this could possibly be, you know? And like Matt says, it's quite visually probably more stunning than motorsport because you don't get the water effect in motorsport, saying like, the four-wheel stuff. You're going on water and doing all these things. I just don't understand why you could actually not get something more interesting than this. Like everything is in the middle. Middle of the frame from left to right, middle of the frame left, up to down. But it's so I just think about the ice cream. That's all I see is ice cream. All right, Eric Peterson. I have to find a reason why I wanted this to be. Um, I kind of more separation of the biker. That's probably really what I wanted. I love the composition. I think it's absolutely great. I think it's fisheye, that he's used, and he's a bit
Yeah.
far up. I don't know if it's a remote thing or whatnot, but anyway, it's very, very good. All the lines are perfectly done, and everything. I just I wanted to see this in color and see if you can actually get a bit more separation between the rider and the rest of the forest, or he could have actually used some kind of a light source to bring that rider up, because if you just see it, it looks like you don't really see anything but the forest. And I don't know if that he was going for that kind of an effect, or he just waited for the sun to hit the rider and that was it. Or maybe he photoshopped it later. I don't really know. I don't really care. But from what I actually see, I just thought like, well, especially against a tree where it's white here, as you can see, it doesn't separate at all. I like to have actually seen the rider maybe around here where it's very, very dark,
Yeah.
and you can actually see the rider against the black background, the white rider coming. That would actually made a lot more sense. But
Well,
against that thing right there, no.
the problem is that he was looking for a pocket of light and he found it, and he just so happened that it was against a tree stump that had, light colored substance on it. I don't know what that is, moss or something like that, but that's what the problem is that this was just a otherwise, like the way that the trees are and everything, it was a well chosen spot, and it would have been perfectly fine if he had used strobes to light the rider. But when you find a pocket of light, you have to figure out what the light's going to do, and if the light is going to light up your subject and something that's right beside him equally, then the rider is going to get lost in all of that. So you either need to light him artificially so that the light is only going to be hitting him and then going out, and dispersing before it hits the trees, or you need to pick a spot where the light's coming in naturally, where there's not something like that. Like Ryu was saying, it's real dark right in front of him. It's just an unlucky placement of where the tree is, but it's unlucky because you let yourself be unlucky by not considering where the light was going to be.
But
So it's really a shame because you picked this out so carefully, and the fisheye effect on the trees is really cool, but you need to follow it through all the way, and you need
mm,
to make sure that the rider is separated from all the rest of it. And here it's like you really, really need to go the extra mile just to find the subject of the picture, and you don't want it to be like that.
no, it's a shame. It's a shame. Okay, the hyper thing. Hmm. I want to start saying. So what? Why is this not? Ah, no, I just push. Ah, I'm sorry. No, is it okay? That's okay. Sorry. God, I fucking hate this. All right, hypersynced. No. Which part of it is hypersynced, or which part? Like, I did the flash even work?
Yeah, but it's
Here,
like
maybe
it's
at the
it's on
face?
it's
No,
no,
it's
it's
not
right on his
there.
face. Yeah, that's what it is. And it's
Good
just
God. Come
way
on,
too delicate. Like this is just a
Eric.
rookie
Like,
mistake.
it's ah.
If you're going through the trouble of setting up a strobe, the strobe has to be more powerful than the ambient light, not less powerful than it. So you have you have this really intense sunlight that's going on in these trees, and again, you've carefully composed it, and it would be really cool, but you have to nuke him to get him up to where he's not getting lost. And I don't even know if it's possible in this exact situation, because even if you did, there are hot spots the way you exposed it for those trees. There are parts of those green trees that are white, and so that means that even if you had a ton of light on the rider, he still might get lost against the background. So
It's
you need
such a
to be more
shame,
careful
man.
where you're. Yeah, it's a total
He's so
shame
he
because
he's so good at
he has
finding
the
really great
idea.
places, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Such
Yeah,
shitty execution, You can't,
yeah,
come on. And it's one of those things that I'm assuming he's not the only guy riding a bike for the entire competition.
right.
So other people there, so maybe you can just set it up and see if the light actually works or not.
Yeah,
Such a shame. Really, really
yeah.
is. Like, it's such bad execution. Ugh. Also, if we talk about bad execution against a white background like that, and you could not tell yourself, you know what? Let's just make him a silhouette and it'll look really, really good.
Yeah,
Obviously, let's just
there's
try to
just
like
too many.
expose it as much as possible. Oh God,
Right. Well, this looks like it's
didn't you auto
yeah,
flash off? Hmm.
it's some kind of auto.
No, it is because it's exposed for the entire scene and not.
Right.
Like
Right.
it's such a
So
shame. It is, because it would have been a really cool photo if that was a silhouette, or at
yeah.
least a bit more silhouette than this is right now.
Well, I mean, his head's still behind the wheel, so it's probably not the best moment for a silhouette if you want to know exactly what's going on in it. But here's the thing: if you have to consider where the light is coming from and what you're shooting on, and if you had a reflector that was bouncing some of that light back towards the rider, that would be one thing. If you had some strobes set up beside you or even on camera, that would be one thing. But what are you doing? You're taking pure white on some of those clouds and you're exposing for that. And where did you think the light on the rider was going to come from? It's clear that it's overcast. It's clear that the light is coming from the opposite direction. How did you think the rider was going to be illuminated? And did you consider the difference between the light that was falling on the rider's face and the light that's hitting those clouds from the other side? And so that's, in that kind of situation, if it's that overcast, then you need to either really expose for the rider, you need to let the rider go into silhouette, or you need to bring lights to overcome the shadows that he's in.
And you didn't do any of them, so you
Yeah,
suck.
it's pretty bad.
Tim Storm.
I do enjoy the people that favorited that picture, though.
Because I almost favored it because I thought it was my obligation to do so. I thought I said beloved. No, it's Beloit. Beloit's like Deloitte. I don't really care. It's Beloit College versus Transylvania University. It's like in Romania? No, it can't be. I don't know where that
That's
is.
crazy that there's a Transylvania
I'm sure it's
University.
somewhere there. Yeah, it sounds like a cartoon. Um, it's okay. I just don't really find it very exciting. It's just like run of the mill shot that I hope Tim at this point thinks like, okay, I got this. I could put this on training ground, but I know for a fact it's a run of the mill shot.
Yeah,
I
I think
would
that Tim's at a
have.
higher level than this. Lacrosse is one of those weird things to shoot. Like you have the things that are working against you, like those helmets that put a lot of the face in the shadow, especially when they're not in direct sunlight. But lacrosse is a game where people do crazy athletic things. Like there's diving and there's full extension blocking and things like that. And a lot of the shots are jumping kind of shots because you need to get over the defenders. So, this guy peels around the goal, and a lot of times he's going to jump and shoot at the same time. And first of all, that's not what's happening here. Like nobody's doing anything extra athletic. There's not crazy looks on their faces. But from this position, you're probably not going to get that jumping shot because you're just going to get his back. Like sometimes you can't be right behind the goal, but you can be in the corner so that you can at least get, if somebody's shooting from more than a couple feet away, you can get the front of them. This is just not interesting. They're not doing anything that's interesting enough in this picture. Like, and then this goes back to people who think that if they go out and they end up with 200 keepers from a game that they're doing something right, and you're just missing out. You're just missing out on um, the actual athleticism that's going on. Like you have to sit on it. You have to wait until something athletic happens and then get a picture of that. Or worst case scenario, know how to edit later so that you're only showing crazy athletic things going on. Like this is just this is the equivalent of a NASCAR car sitting in the middle of a track. It's just
Um,
not interesting. Something that happens, several hundred times during the course of a game, and you're asking for people's attention to look at this, and then you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, this is a lacrosse picture. It's not, oh wow, that number eight is, can jump pretty high for a white guy or something.
Maybe for a Jewish white guy as well, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so okay. The problem is, it's very funny because he's also using 200 for 100. The You get into a bad habit, by the way, with 200, 400, or 700 zoom lenses because you tend to want to keep all the action inside a frame. That's one reason because when I rented it and when I was shooting with it, I realized I was zooming in, zooming out, trying to get everything inside a frame. Which, if you're shooting for a really conservative agency who wants all head to toe shots, like like I do with my Japanese agency, it's perfect because I think it works
Yeah,
very, very
thanks a
well.
lot.
But if you want to be creative, you can't because you're so used to just reacting to what's happening in the frame and adjusting all the time so everything is in it. You don't really say, you know what, fuck this, I'm just gonna like shoot 400s throughout. If the body gets the legs get cut off and things like that, I'll just concentrate on the faces or do this and do that. You just don't really think about, I don't know, just going on a limb and just say, okay, I'm gonna try something new because you're so used to just putting everything in a frame. And this is what's probably gonna happen, Tim, and other people who are using 200, 400, or 7200, is that you do start getting very conservative because you think that's the right thing to do. And speaking of that, I did exactly the same thing as well, during the World Cup and also during the season. That when I used the 7200, by the way, I used the F4, but I'll talk about that later on. Um, I keep on telling myself, just don't put everything inside a frame. Just go for it. Don't be afraid and do it. But it's human nature, You do go for the safety first, and I come up with a picture. And it's like it's really boring, and you have to get away from that as much as possible. And as hard as it may be, Tim, maybe you should just put it on 400 and just go and fire away and see what you can get instead of that's just like going zooming in and zooming out all the time. Let's see what he actually is. He will set to so. Oh my god, it's long this one. I'm not even going back anymore. Why? Oh, where? Here it is. I went all the way back. It's very slow if you're doing it with display,
Yeah,
isn't it? Like
we need to
it's
do
much
it differently
much
next
faster
time.
with the other version.
Yeah,
No, it sucks.
because it preloads them. I think this is having to load them one at a time.
Hmm. Should I just like open them up like in different
Yes.
tabs?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a smart way to do it. And do a couple. Sorry. Sorry, guys. Oh God, we gotta pick up speed, Matt, Cole, and
Yeah.
whoever if we keep on combining for everything. Okay. Here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Something. Waiting. Whatever. Wall's fine. Nothing interesting happening. If you're trying to say that the wall is the most interesting happening right now, background of people who's doing the thing has to be making me interested as well. This is just like exciting, boring, which makes it just boring.
It's
Am I correct?
it's basically it's like um a version of that dust picture. Like there's
Yeah.
something in the air and that needs to carry the picture. No, you still have to consider what the actual athlete is doing. That has to be interesting too. Like there's not really a water formation that's going to be interesting enough to make the overall picture interesting if the person isn't doing anything, and that's what we have here.
No. And that's not good. Oh, it's a bit weird to see skiing pictures in July or August. That's my that is only one part of the entire photo. And you have to realize, like, okay, it's interesting what's going on right now, but what happened? Why is it blank?
You disconnected and reconnected, and you just share the screen again.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, crap. Now, I hope it's still it's recording. I don't know where I left you, but I was just saying that you have to be very, very well aware, especially with the elements, the weather element stuff, is that you don't get too that adds to your picture. It's not the entire picture. So if you get snow, sleet, dust, water, whatnot, you have to also have something that's interesting going on inside the picture. If you don't, then it's not good. Really? You don't have it? You can't see
Mm.
it?
No.
Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Oh, can you see it now?
Yeah. I see it.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
Oh, this is really a lot. Okay. And that goes on for this picture. You want to add? No? You go on?
No. It's no. You got it.
Okay. You do this one then. June. McCoy. You see it?
It's yeah. This is just sloppy. So slower if you're panning, and then what's in the frame matters, right? It's not just the two guys on the left. Like you realize that people can still see the guy on the right. You realize that, right? Like I know you got sucked into, oh, I panned successfully and I got the two guys, but you know that we can see the guy on the right. He's there. Tunnel vision, the people that didn't take the picture don't have the tunnel vision on it. So I'm sure that there was a period in this race where there were two guys who were close enough and there wasn't a guy trailing them, and you should have taken a picture of that. Or you should have used a longer lens, or you should have stepped up closer, or you should have zoomed in. But you can't, I just don't understand. You can't have a guy with half of his back wheel chopped off who's not near the two guys who you're trying to shoot. It doesn't work like that. Photography does not work like that. Those guys could be the two most famous guys in the entire world doing crazy things, but if you include a third guy who, is he getting lapped? I think he's getting lapped. That's why he's that far out there. So he's not working anywhere near as hard as those guys are. You can tell because he's not straining in his face and he's not hunched over like those other guys are. So you're including someone who's getting lapped in the picture of the guy who are in a sprint. And for all I know, this guy could be warming up and just using the track while they're still on it. So sloppy. It's just absolutely sloppy. And whatever the speed is, it's not slow enough. So go slower than that and be more careful in your compositions.
Yeah, it's 50th of a second.
Still,
It's still too fast,
50th,
you know? 50th of a
50th is one
second.
thing if you're shooting like drag racing and the cars are going 220 miles an hour or something like that. But if they're going 40 miles an hour, a 50th of a second is nowhere near that. This should be a 15th or a 10th or something like that if you really want a panning picture. And the reason you can tell is that you can see the seats. You don't want the seats to be defined. You don't want to be able to see individual people in the seats. Like panning is, the whole point of that is to blur that stuff out, and you haven't done that, so it's not a panning picture.
God, it's by Steve White somewhere. So in the UK. It's not very exciting. You know, like I like the counter strain he's going on the corner, but it's just I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking at. You know, and it's everything with older sport. You kind of like so to get this in action. I think he might have actually been attempted to do a bit of a thing over here as well. To look, you can't see it. So weird. Well, from what I can see, he probably was low enough. The background's but not blurry enough. You have to be thinking that it's exciting. So if the dirt is kicking up in that, would you not compose it in a way that you can see the dirt kicking up behind? So you not center the guy, or maybe then you just like have the guy to the left of the frame so you can see the dirt, because that's the most exciting thing when he's going around the curve. I would think so. You have to really start thinking what is exciting and what is not exciting, and what you're shooting means to you and to people who are going to be looking at it. It's like I've seen billions of these photos, exactly the same thing, and there's no thought involved in what you've actually shot over here. Nothing. Zero. And,
Yeah,
and
this is a
I
bad
honestly think
angle.
like there's-
No, it's a
ugh,
bad
I don't know.
angle.
It's
There's
just
not. I'm trying to think of what good could happen here. The only good
I don't
thing,
not really even caring
picture-wise,
at the angle at this point.
the only good thing that could
Like you
happen
could have
from
done
this
so many
angle,
things from this angle as well.
if he would have fallen and he would have been looking up at you while he was sliding, that really would have been it. Otherwise, you're really not going to get anything from here. It's not a good enough angle. You can't accentuate the dirt coming off the back tire. You can't see his face, and you're never going to be able to see his face from this angle. Um, you're setting yourself up for failure just by where you're shooting from. So that's a problem. But when you shoot stuff like this, you have to make it look like he's racing on dirt, and you're losing all of that because of where you are. If you were down low, that dirt would look bigger than it does now, and it would look more interesting. Otherwise, this just looks like
He's probably
a
shooting from
guy.
the stands, no? It looks like
It
he's
just
shooting
looks
from
like
the
a guy
stands
riding a
anyway.
regular motorcycle who lost control.
Oh. Ugh. No. I understand you wanted this thing right here. I really, really do. I get excited about these things as well. But like I said, it was elements, same thing. If that's the only interesting thing that is going on in the photo, that's not good enough. And that you should, at your level, you should know this. I'm sorry to say, it's a massive fail for me. And if this is part of it and something interesting that's going on in the background, I'm totally fine with it. But first of all, A, he's not kicking the ball very beautifully, and B, it's not really interesting, and this is fail to me. No matter how many of these like little dust speckles that actually comes up when he's kicking the ball from the turf, doesn't really matter. It's just not interesting, and you got to realize that that's not enough to say, wow,
Yeah,
that's an interesting shot.
again,
It really isn't.
it's right back to the dust, and it's right back to the wave. It's none of that is ever going to make your picture unless there's other interesting things that are going on there. If there were, I don't know. I don't even know what would do it. If there were people on the sideline who were far enough away that they all fit underneath his foot or something like that, and they were lined up perfectly or something,
Mm,
or if there was some kind of architectural element, or the background had different colors in that were working for you or something, that would be one thing. But you're expecting those little grains to do a lot more work than they're capable of doing.
all right, Michael, a very quick one. Go. Can you see it?
I see it now. Yeah, I have nothing to say about this.
Okay. All right, let's do this one then. Ricardo Garcia, Enduro Capodacqua. Go ahead.
Yeah, not slow enough. You
See it?
know, again, if you can see defined
Let's
shapes
say,
in the background, it's not slow enough.
like here and there. Yeah, no, it's not. It's
If
not
you were
slow
this
enough,
close,
says Michael.
if you were this close to it, um, lay down, shoot with a wide angle lens. If you're going to pan, then go for it. This is just a cowardly panning. Oh, I really hope I freeze some part of it.
Cowardly panning. Hold on, I'm gonna put my stuff on now. Good God. That's so many racing photos,
Yeah, when the car's by you, it's by
Like a
you.
lot.
That's it. I don't care if this was your first painting photo or your 300th. When you're shooting from three quarters behind, it's there's nothing good is going to come from that. It's really not.
Oh, that one. Yeah, no, not really. No, I got nothing else to add. It's just very boring, you know? But it's like, you really stop putting things in a composing, thinking, think. How could it make saying? How can I compose it? What kind of lens should I use? Should I go wide for this because there's a nice background behind the car? What can I do? Oh, you know what? Let's just put in the middle. Just put everything in the middle. All crap. It's what a panic fest or what? What's going on here? You get this?
Yeah. I you have to when you're
It's
shooting
only
stuff like
boring.
this, you have to get way lower than this. It's just you want the rider to look big. Unless you're shooting for the background because there's something really cool going on in the background, you want the rider to be dominant. And what you have here is not an interesting background. You have that white thing, I don't know what that is in the middle, that's distracting from it. You want to be on his level or lower than his head.
What the
Make him look big in the frame. And if you can get down there and pan while you're doing that, that's all the better. But this angle is not interesting because you're looking down on him. It's like the advice that they use for if you're shooting pictures of kids, get all the way down there. Nobody wants to see pictures of the tops of their heads or them running around from looking at an overhead view. Like you really need to get down there, and it's the same with every other sport, really. But it's more for this because
Hello? Hello?
we got to figure this out. Are you downloading something again?
No. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. No, I think this is how it is today, huh? It's a bit,
All
it's not
right.
working very well. Sorry, it just has to be
I
this way.
yeah, I think I'm gonna have to start hosting these because it's just the lag in your voice and the lag in the pictures is too much.
It's lagging that much?
Yeah. All right, let's finish this and we'll figure it out later.
Yeah, hold on. Sorry about it. It
Sorry.
usually works better, no? With the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so you're shooting from the beach. It's not very, very exciting. Exposed badly.
Yeah, this
Nothing's
is
even in
another
focus,
automatic exposure. The what's in focus. Well, the face of the wave is in focus, but this guy is wearing a black wetsuit and his face is in the shadow because the light's coming from behind him. And you need to take all that into consideration when you're shooting and expose for his face, or better yet, wait till he's going the other way so that the light is coming down on his face, and then you don't have to worry about that as much. But this is a snapshot, and it's not a good snapshot.
No. Oh, Steve Beatty.
Yeah, this is awful.
Oh, God. If you don't know why this is awful, that's probably you're here. So we have to say why it's awful. Because it's awful because there's nothing A happening. B, you got the entire body, which does never really lends to a very exciting photo. I mean, and this you're going uphill, as I can see. You can use the up and down thing. You can see the people behind you, and you can have a great use of that. And you can probably try to get people really straining to go up the stupid hill. I mean, go for their faces. I don't care about their bikes. Who cares? I don't care. Do you? I mean,
Yeah,
I just
it's
have to know that you're biking. That's all I really want to know. And go for the face. It's a tough road. They're climbing, climbing. Then get that. You're in a perfect position to do this. You don't do it. Why? I don't know.
yeah, I really this is I don't understand. Like this is um Iron Man is hard and people cry and they sweat and they strain and whatever, but you're shooting from too far away and at a not an interesting angle at all, at a part of the course that maybe is easier than the other ones or something because this guy doesn't look like he's really doing anything at all. And you're shooting sports and you need to make the athletes look athletic. Just being on a bike isn't necessarily athletic. It's not. There's no exertion. There's no emotion. This picture is just devoid of anything other than dudes and a chick on bikes. That's it.
And I think he's trying to sell you his photos as well, so it's probably why it's even worse. Good
I
God.
yeah. I It looks like he sat here for without looking at the other pictures. He just sat here and took pictures of whatever came by, and that's just a recipe for getting slagged here. Oh,
I don't
hey, look,
understand. It just keeps on going the same crap.
the front wheel's off the ground.
What?
The front wheel is
Yay.
off the ground.
Yay.
Yeah, it's not
God,
interesting.
I don't
It's
understand. I don't
like
understand this. Why?
the go please go to biglensfastshutter.com and read the thing that I wrote about auto racing. Um, you're not doing any work here. This guy is doing the work. The people that designed the bike did the work. The people that painted the bike did the work. The guy who designed the track did the work so that he could have places where their front wheel could go off. But they're setting all this up for you, and then what are you doing? Just pushing a button. No thought went into this at all. Um, it's boring. Exciting things happen in these races. These guys get down, sparks come off of their knee pads, smoke comes off of their knee pads, the tires lock up, they crash. There's all kinds of things happen, but you are shooting at a straightaway, and the goal here was to get the tire coming off the ground. And if that was your goal, and if that makes you happy, that's great, but it's not good.
I don't really understand why people are so adamant in getting everything inside the frame. I really, really don't. It just really, it blows my mind. It really does. And I don't know, well, because we've been doing it for a couple of years now. People still keep on doing it, Better. Different dude, better.
Yeah.
Um, you can see the strain. Um, I think it's a flash, which is a bit weird. Not very nice one. I don't like the light that much. But you can see the strain. He's struggling. He's going up the thing. Much
You
better
can
than the one
see,
we
and
just saw.
you can see how steep the hill is because you can see this dude, and then you can see how small the other guys are and how low in the frame they
Yeah,
are.
this is a gallery like that. It's
Um,
quite a steep angle.
yeah, this is not a good picture, but it's better than the ones that we've been seeing. But then again, he's a better photographer, so we expect better than that. The background is iffy. I wonder if he was on the other side of the street, if he would have had, maybe the track instead of those houses. And then
I
the
don't
the
mind the
guys,
houses. Yeah, I don't
uh,
really much mind the houses. It's just, yeah, better execution would have been better. But like, yeah, Matt said, like, Alistair's a better photographer than that guy beforehand. So, I expect a bit more. But I do kind of expect a bit more than this as well. Ay, 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 ay. Oh my God. Midget. Flexing muscles. Jesus Christ. I'm not. Is there any muscle being flexed here? Is it imaginary muscle that you're
no,
flexing here? I don't see any muscles
it's
being flexed.
it's funny because it was like in the thing he said it was a mistake that it shouldn't have been in the group or something like that. Well, it shouldn't be
It
in the
should
group. It shouldn't
be.
be on Flickr. People shouldn't be seeing it. But meanwhile, 723 people have looked at this picture and 14 people called it a favorite. Why? Because you
Yeah.
like Mustangs or something?
Yep. That's the only reason why. I think you just like people, for instance, like you favorite things just because you're kind of conditioned to do so right now. You don't really look at it and say, okay, that's good, that's bad. And it really isn't. There's nothing really interesting going on over here. It
This
isn't.
is this is just you're including all that grass just for the sake of including it all, and it doesn't make it a picture. And the cars are underexposed, and I don't know why they would be. because they're brighter than the grass is, and the grass is most of the picture.
I think he desaturated, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks awful, and it's just bad. It's
Instagram
really
thing.
bad. And so, the excuse of you put it into the group by accident is whatever, really. I mean, why are you showing people at all? It's not good enough to be in the group. Why are you showing people at all?
It's terrible. Um, is it at some point your brain has to say, "Wow, you know what? I think I've actually taken the same picture over and over and over today. So why don't I just try something new?" And this definitely is one of those times that, well, at least for this picture, I can see that you've just not had enough with exactly the same picture. Because A, you've not panned it slow enough. B, this smoke coming out of the tires, I'm sure you've shot this billion times that day. Billion. And you just want to keep on shooting the same thing. And it's like you don't like it's really crazy to think that sports photography is not for dummies. It really, really isn't. At the top level, it's a matter of ideas and what composition, what light, and all these things that put together to make an exciting, interesting photo. And for you to think that this, by all means, is an interesting photo, to me, is crazy. Because I've seen photos like this in this type of situation, like I said, billions of times. So why do you want to keep on creating the same shit over and over and over and think, wow, I can do exactly the same thing like that guy in that magazine did? Yeah, so what? You know? The point is for you to actually do something a bit more interesting than what you see in the magazines, or even better, right? But
Yeah,
what's this here? Oh,
again, Mark Ribella shoots drag racing basically for a living all the time. That's like the majority of what he shoots. And go to his page and see how many pictures like this he has on there. Not many, because the only really stock action kind of pictures he has are ones where the car is flipping over in the air. Everything else is using light and using angles and making pictures of the people working on the cars coming up to the starting line, and go to his page, see how many NASCAR or NHRA events he shoots every year, and then tell me how many pictures he posts that look like this. And yes, he's probably the best one doing it right now, but that doesn't mean that it gives you license to just take a million pictures like this every time you go out. You're just wasting your access, and you're wasting the people's time who are looking at your pictures, because this is boring. I don't care that there's smoke pouring out of the tires. Everybody else there was also shooting the smoke pouring out of the tires. And everybody else that's ever gone to an NHRA race is shooting the smoke coming out of the tires. What are you going to do that's going to make that just a nice little detail instead of the whole picture? Nothing, apparently.
ugh.
That's a
Hmm.
spectacular vignette. It's groundbreaking, really.
Um, I'm just trying to figure out like what went on here and what you wanted to do. First of all, I see quite a lot of interesting thing going on here, which is to see the crowd, and I see the shadows, I see blue skies, I see it's the beginning of the race, so they're all probably in teams right now, and they're gonna probably start breaking, much further down. Why couldn't you not use those things? And instead, you just said, okay, I'm just gonna shoot it head on, center, everything. And look at the wonderful shadows made by the writers as well. And no, you didn't use that one either. I don't get it. That you have to think. It's not. You have to like realize what the situation is, what's given to you, and you have to do the best you can do from the situation. And there really is a severe lack of thinking going on every single photograph in training ground most of the time. I've never probably like I don't think we've ever said like, oh my god, he overthought this. Well, you
Yeah.
probably said a couple of times, but it's very, very, very rare. It's a lot of not thinking and just reacting to this just to the situation, and it's not good enough. It really isn't.
No,
If you
if you
ever
can't
want to take
if you
this really
can't
seriously, you have to
yeah,
really think about it, you know?
if you can't figure out how to use those shadows, I just I don't
God.
understand. Get a ladder to get over those people and then shoot their shadows so that all the crowd, according to the picture, is just shadows, and then the guy's riding. There's a million other things to do, but if you think that the height of this is just getting there early enough to get a seat right by the course or whatever, that is not enough.
No, it's shit. It's really panning galore today. I'm getting sick of looking at panning pictures now. Better, better,
That's
better,
better.
better, better,
Yeah.
better. I don't know how close, slow it was, but it's better. You can see that it was this guy who's the center of the whole thing. And I don't mind this. Not the
No.
best,
Yeah.
but
A
at
little
least you've done it
underexposed
right.
too.
Mm.
A little underexposed.
You've done it. You've done it well enough to say that's okay. Yeah, like Matt said, underexposed. It's a race. If it's well, it's a track meet. So if you have a lot of heats, you could do the same thing over and over and over. And if you don't think you've done it right, then do it again because you're going to have exactly the same situation, give or take, a bit more sun, less sun, elements and things like that. But yeah, I could even actually make this even slower to make that everything else blurry except for his head because the head, if you've shot enough athletics or track and field, it should not move that much when you're at the top of the jump. So it should actually stay quite, there, and everything else should be very, very blurry because of, he's going over the hurdle. So you can try that. Don't get satisfied. If you just got it right, good. But you have to look at it and think, okay, what else can I do to make it even better? And that's what I want to see next time. Okay, Matt Cohen. Hmm. I think the thought's there, no? Isn't it?
But I don't see it yet.
Is it now?
Yes. Yeah. Well, this is what I was talking about
Yeah.
before. Is get up high and only show the track or whatever, and that's good. But the again, we're panning, but we're not slow enough. Um, and then the angle for this, like you really want. I don't want to say it's a rule because then that promotes very closed kind of limited thinking, but this is like that race car shot from 3/4 behind where he's already passed you, and but you're still trying to make it a picture. Like if you went to the trouble of getting up higher than that, you want to shoot perpendicular to what you're doing because first of all, the that little white line at the lower left corner, that's like a giveaway to I missed the shot. What you want is to be perpendicular to the rider, like right beside him, and try and make like a more of a carefully planned out architectural kind of picture. The
Mm.
way it is right now is it's screaming out I was a little bit too late, or I just kept shooting even though he was by me and the other ones weren't in focus and I used this one instead or something like that. It doesn't matter that
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
was the one that you nailed the panning on because first of all you weren't going fast enough, and second of all the picture happened half a second earlier or something like that. So getting up there is good, and that's what the guy a couple pictures ago in the Tour de France should have done. But it doesn't make this a good picture. It's just poorly executed. But he was thinking at least. So
Yeah. Which is severely lacking in this training ground
yeah,
anyway. Good God. Samo Biker, Wolfpack Hustle, Civic Center, Crit, Los Angeles, home of the Clippers. Well,
yeah.
you know, his
I don't
Clippers.
know. Again,
Um,
the I don't know why this is in black and white, but it looks like it was taking place early in the morning, which a lot of bike races do. So you're working with really good light. Um, you don't. I, the thing is, like, I guess that as sports photographers, we get to shoot in good light so rarely that you want to shoot with it all the time because it looks really cool or whatever, but you're giving up what's cool about it is that you can do things from the other side, you can do things from straight on where half of the bike is in focus or half of the bike is light and the other half is completely in shadows. Like you don't always have to shoot with the light. You can shoot across it, you can shoot against it, you can shoot, again, like I said, head on. But this is just boring because it doesn't, you're not even using the light, like especially when you make it black and white, but also because there's nothing interesting going on and you're not doing anything interesting with the light. So it's,
That's
if
the
he had
worst
been,
thing, huh?
yeah, if there had been a crash or something, it would have looked kind of cool. But all he's doing is just riding just like he was riding in any other race. And again, not slow enough to be a panning picture.
Kind of same thing. Now it's
Same exact thing. Yeah.
overexposed. Not at this point now.
And no reason for this to be in black and white at all.
No, it's a boring picture. Overexpose it, even more boring. Oh God, I see another panning picture. I'm gonna go crazy. Alan Buxton, All American Soapbox Derby, and it's another boring one.
Yeah, and
So,
again, if you can see things in the background, like you can see that there's lettering on the fence in the background, and you can see the people in the yellow tops in the background. This is not slow enough. This is not okay. This panning, drop it down. 1/10, 1/15, 1/20th. And again, if you can't do it that slowly, then you can bump it up a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. But you can't start this high. It's just there's nothing good up here.
I think we should like start banning panning as well. Because I'm sick of like that's the only
No,
technique
I
you
want to
guys
see
use.
I want to
Oh
see
my
people I
God,
want to see people get it. I want to see them
they'll never get it.
actually. Well, that's our job.
Oh, there you go. I'm very excited about this picture. No panning. It's dirt, but that's about it. I don't understand. We have to kind of do the toning thing for this one. I don't know. Maybe just these for I don't know what tone split tone this was. Anyway, only thing that's really exciting happening is the dirt, and you've wanted to make it into this particular color because I don't know. Maybe the picture was really boring, and you thought that converting into two tones was like the best thing you can possibly do to save the picture, and that's never a good thing because that means that your picture is boring to start with. So what could you have done? You could actually like shot a better picture. It comes down to that, and that means you're very very lazy. You're not really thinking about it, saying, okay, you know what, I can save this picture by converting to I'll tone it, and I have dirt, so that should be good enough. I got two faves. All right, all right, all right, all right. So there it is, huh?
Yeah.
There you go, Matt. Last
It,
one.
yeah, this is really ridiculous. If you guys want the mud or the water or something like that to make the picture, then it needs to be the picture. It needs to be the main element as far as size in the picture goes. And having, some rubber pellets from a turf field pop up or having some dirt from a tire on something that's 40 yards away, it's just never going to be enough. That's never going to make the picture because there's too much other things going on.
No. There you
Um,
go, Matt. Go on to the last one.
yeah, this. Ugh. Um, you know, I- on the good side, the guy at least has some kind of expression on his face, like he's trying. On the bad side is everything else. First of all, it's boring. Second of all, the horizon isn't straight. Third of all, the whatever toning is going on here, or maybe it's a white balance issue, but it looks like crap. Don't do this to your pictures. Everybody who's in here needs to work more on the actual picture than they do on vignettes and toning and black and white conversions. You can do that stuff when you're good. Until you get good, don't do that because it just looks silly. What you're telling everybody is, I spent actual time working on a picture that's crap, whether I would have worked on it or not worked on it. So don't do that. Shoot straight up. Worry about the content of your pictures. Worry about where you are. Worry about panning at a appropriate speed for panning. Worry about composing. Worry about getting your horizon straight. I mean, there's a wall in the background of this, and it's where it meets the grass. That line isn't straight. Why? What were you doing that was more important than lining up the horizon of your picture?
Eating lunch, I think, probably.
Yeah, it's not good enough. This is
And also
not good enough.
not in focus either, by the way, just so you know. Yeah, so it's here, it's in focus, it's not in front because he stepped in, so you can
Yeah,
see that it's not in focus.
yeah.
All right, um, I'll do my last blurb. First and foremost, thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate it. If you want more of us, please go to biglensfastshutter.com. And if you've forgotten, and I know you haven't, it is never too late to send a couple bucks our way. Since this is a 100% user-funded podcast, please click on a PayPal donations link to show us how much you love us, and that will be on the biglensfastshutter.com website. Thanks for participating. It's been a pleasure to tell you the things we told you today, and I just gotta love panning. I want to do more panning shots as much as possible. It's great. I loved it.
I think we're going to
You
break a
guys
record
enjoyed it.
for donations after this.
Oh yeah, we probably will. So thanks, and see you next month.